I will. Thanks, everyone. Happy to be here. I am Brian Borgery with Invest Puerto Rico. We're the official business and investment attraction agency for the island. I'll share my screen here in just a second. So I just wanted to give an update actually on Puerto Rico. San Juan is the main epicenter, but we are an island, so everything kind of gets lumped together. So Puerto Rico's been on a very steep growth trajectory in the startup world for a number of years now, despite maybe hearing about hurricanes or things like that 4 years ago. Despite anything like that, COVID, Puerto Rico and San Juan have been growing almost exponentially in investment, in number of startups, in innovation, increases in patents. Some of the things you can see here, just from venture capital, it's increased greatly. The more recent numbers we have even more. Obviously, we're not like a Silicon Valley or anything, so our increases aren't going from hundreds to thousands of investment groups, but still going from a handful to dozens and dozens. It's pretty big for an island such as ours. Some of the areas that we've been seeing very big increases in, especially over the last 5 or so years, have been
Brian,
in block.
I think you got.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Brian.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Is it cutting out?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you fine. Maybe I'll try to continue and we'll see if it still cuts out or not. So there's been increases in startups and entrepreneurs just here on the island, as well as an influx of people moving down, starting businesses here, moving businesses here. Part of that is due to the tax incentives that we have here on the island, especially for those who live in the United States. It's the only place that you can live as a US citizen and not pay capital gains taxes under Act 60. So things like that are very compelling to startups and entrepreneurs, especially those founders who are going to be having all their value or potential future value in stock and things like that. We have very good universities that pump out a lot of STEM graduates and smart people. We've been working on stemming the brain drain. A lot of companies from around the world or the States like to come and poach our smart people right when they graduate from college. So we actually have campaigns that are focusing on reattracting many of the people who have left the island, and it's been working very well, actually. So we've been having lots of entrepreneurs and startups moving back to the island that maybe had left a number of years ago. So that's one of the exciting things that's been going on here. The other thing that you'll find as you come to San Juan, especially, you'll see many new accelerators and incubators. You'll see new co-working spaces. We're breaking ground on a number of different research and development labs, even 70-acre parks, things like that, they'll be focused on research and development, high tech, cybersecurity, that sort of thing. And contrary to what you might think, you'll also find that we have quite good connectivity here on the island, whether that's regular internet. Our average internet speeds are actually higher than the average internet speeds in the mainland USA. We also have island-wide coverage with multiple 5G networks, LoRa networks, and other IoT connectivity. One of the things I do want to hit on that's been pretty big just over the last few months, and I expect to continue to be pretty big, is we have now the Puerto Rico 5G zone, which is a place that is open to anyone, any company, to be able to test, play around with, hack away, utilizing the latest 5G technologies without having to get a license yourself. So you can come and use these shared spaces to test out new technologies where in the past you've maybe had to spend $5 or $10 million just to have a license to utilize the same sort of equipment and setup on your own. So we expect that to be a catalyst for a lot of IoT and connectivity startups here on the island. Blockchain in general, that's actually one of the reasons I moved down to the island a number of years ago, has been growing greatly. You can tell that by the increase of events. Next week, we have Puerto Rico Blockchain Week with a couple dozen events going on, 5 different conferences. So there's a lot happening on that front. And we've seen some of the top minds and people in the entire world from that space moving down here. The other thing that's interesting that you'll find, and with these trends that I've mentioned, just general increases, obviously we have our challenges too. That's always something that you have. But what you'll find is that there's a pretty diverse interest in entrepreneurs that are popping up here on the island or even moving to the island. So besides just tech and things like that, renewable energy, agriculture and agro-tourism, supply chain, a lot of things getting into the arts, that sort of thing, all very, very rampant here in Puerto Rico and San Juan especially. So the last couple of things that I'll hit on is investment tends to be one of the major interests that we're finding here in our ecosystem. And what I mean by that is I work every day with companies looking to move to the island, investors looking to either invest or move to the island. So what we've done is we built out an investment platform for the island of Puerto Rico. So any type of company, especially startups, can list to raise capital. It doesn't matter if it's debt, equity, convertible notes, that doesn't matter. But any companies that are focused on Puerto Rico and growing the economy here can list and raise capital. And then we've been sending investors, which there's been lots of investors coming to look at the island to broaden their investment strategies, their global footprint, and to also have a foothold. Because one of the interesting things about Puerto Rico and San Juan in particular is we're part of the United States, but we're more of a Latin American country with Spanish as the main language, although the vast majority of people are some level of bilingual between English and Spanish. So it makes it a very unique spot for companies or even other startups, maybe from many of your jurisdictions that want to set up shop to move into or out of North or South America. It tends to be a very good nexus point. So we've been noticing that in addition to a lot of interest from investors who are looking for projects here on the island. So overall, just to wrap things up, Puerto Rico and San Juan in particular have been growing quite nicely. We have our challenges, of course. Always trying to work with governments to be more business friendly and ease doing business. So that's always something and a challenge that we'll work on. But in general, we've been seeing a positive uptick overall, even with COVID and things like that going on. We've been able to continue an upward trajectory in general. So that's a little ecosystem report for you guys on Puerto Rico and San Juan.